Welcome and thank you for joining me for another Coffee with Bridget. I have my Do Not Disturb cup today. And this is s'mores from Java Factory. So, I don't know what I'm going to talk about today because honestly, not much has happened. I have been kind of just hanging out this weekend. I did go shopping and get some essentials on Friday, but that's pretty much all I've really done. I've been checking out the Nexus community, which is an app that I joined. It seems a little pricey up front, but it comes down to 50 cents per day, or I think $15 a month, um, which is not bad. And you get access to this whole community of wonderful women who are there to support each other. And it's a really beautiful place. If you're interested, if you are looking to find your tribe, you might want to check out Nexus Community and, you know, uh, buy into the app and download it because it really is a wonderful place. So I've been busy playing with that. That has been a real help for me. I've always had this problem with having a sense of belonging, of finding like-minded individuals. Now, I have gone through a lot of trauma, so not surprisingly, the other people on this app are also trauma survivors. So if you have gone through and you're neurospicy or you've gone through trauma, you might find Nexus community to be just as helpful as I do. But that has pretty much been something that I've been focused on this weekend, is participating in that. I did have a friend come over yesterday. He gave me a laptop that he didn't need, that he used for his college stuff. So that was really nice because my laptop was on his last leg. Literally, I was trying to do paperwork for the attorney and my laptop kept turning off on me. It was really terrible. So I was struggling to get the paperwork done, and he understood and he listened to my struggles and he came to help me. So that was really, really sweet of him. So then I pretty much slept a lot. Sleeping is a good thing. When your body's tired, you got to listen to it and go to sleep. But yeah, it's been interesting interacting with a lot of people who have trauma too, and who've had relationships where they were walking on eggshells as well. And relating to that, and saying, that's was my reality, just being very careful, trying to do my best, trying to make everybody happy, trying to get things right, but they were never right enough or never good enough, you know. That's hard, and only certain people kind of relate to that. Although I think all of us have had negative relationships, but it's really interesting and really nice to be part of a community that bonds around these things where everybody understands them, and it's really kind of cool. So that is pretty much what I've been up to, and since I last vlogged. But I am looking forward to this week. I just did this week's oracle reading, and one of the cards that came up was links, which is secrets. So I'm kind of curious to see what secrets come up. I think that the secrets that are going to come up in my life have to do with my neurospiciness. Am I autistic? Is it something else? Is it CPTSD, like my therapist says? I don't know. But when you're someone who's gone from one traumatic experience to another your whole life, and with not much break in between them, it's processing is a challenge. I did a vlog yesterday on integration and the fact that I believe that I've integrated a lot of these things. To me, they are stories in the past. They're almost like they didn't happen to me. They happened to other people or other versions of me. You know, I've lived many different lives, and each life, you know, kind of ended in a certain way. There's been many versions of me. And I think most people do that. And I think being able to close that door on the trauma and put it into the past is a big part of a growing process. I think it's very healthy, you know. I've been reading the book The Body Keeps the Score because we're going to be doing a book club on the Nexus community on that book. In fact, we're supposed to meet up this weekend. The normal time that it's starting to become is kind of later in the evening. I don't know if I'm going to be able to participate in it, but it's going to be pretty interesting. With the kids coming home about 5 o'clock, which is kind of in the middle of the time that they're going to be doing stuff. But it's going to be fun. So like every other weekend, I should be able to participate in the book club more, a bit more, because the kids will be gone. But I will get to do, nope, there goes a plane. I will get to do the book club as much as I can. And it's kind of cool to have a book club. Like, I've always wanted to be part of a book club, so it should be a little bit of fun. I don't really know what it's going to be like. It seems like there's going to be a rotating host thing. People will host it at different times, and that's perfectly fine with me, because like I said, my schedule is going to be every other weekend. But yeah, being part of a book club and reading a book as good as The Body Keeps the Score is pretty cool. My only complaint about The Body Keeps the Score is that the writer kind of has a theme for each chapter, and then he goes off on wild tangents and tells different stories, and you kind of lose the main thread. He's not someone who sat down and just went, this is a cohesive whole as chapter. Instead, he kind of goes this way. It's part autobiographical, it's part scientific, and it's part his discovery and his work of trauma. It's basically his life's work in book form. And you can tell that because he tells anecdotes about how he was given a uniform by some Vietnam vets. And he was given, I think, a watch by Vietnam vets. You know, because when they accepted into the group, they had to make him one of them. So he comments on that. And it's just really interesting how it kind of meanders through personal experience. And then, you know, the heart of the book, which is the trauma. So, you know, the chapter 1 is about Vietnam vets, and that's where the original diagnosis from PTSD came from, was Vietnam vets who came back and had these recurring flashbacks and couldn't get over the trauma. And of course, we've learned a lot more about trauma since then, you know, how it stays in the body and how it affects the mind. You know, that it's just as much physiological as it is mental. So I'm looking forward to really discussing that book in depth with my friends on Nexus Community. So that's going to be really fun. You know, like I said, I'm not sure how it's going to go because we haven't had our first get together yet. But I'm excited, and I'm taking notes on the book. So I am very much going to be into the book club. But yeah, you know, that's the excitement right now, is the Nexus community. And then, you know, a lot of stuff happening this week. Is going to be a busy week. It's going to be a little bit of a different week with the girls home from spring break. And like I said, we're going to do Easter probably Wednesday, because the kids will be with their dad for Easter. But, and of course, you know, the fact that spring break for them is a week before Easter is that's a little weird. I always thought spring break was supposed to be for Easter, but each school district is different. And I think they kind of like plan them so they're different, so that places like Disneyland are not overwhelmed by spring breakers. But that's the end of this vlog for today. I can't believe I spoke for 10 minutes, but I hope you enjoyed it. That's what's on my mind. Take care, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye for now.